we got to this one address. I said, this one goes around back. He went around back, drove off, left them right at the stop.
That was after getting hit by a car.
Wait, you got hit by a car?
I ended up drinking 24 Bud Lights in about 48 minutes. Drunk and nomad stumbles out in the road and he hit me going 30 miles an hour.
What's up, everybody, and thank you for joining us on this episode of All in the Delivery. This is episode 149, and boy, do we have a special one for you guys today. But first, let's go around the table, shall we? I'm going to introduce to you guys my co-host down in West by God, Virginia, Luke.
Fuck.
How are you, buddy?
Well, it kind of feels like old times, man, because we're recording midweek. We put some stuff together last minute, and we got some. It feels like the wild card years a little bit, but no, I'm doing well, man. And being I can't remember the last time we recorded during the week, so the feel of it's a little different. You know, so far I can't say how good or bad the week is, but as this episode would come out, I'd be off the following week, so I'll say. No matter what the future is predicting, it should be all right. So, yeah, I'm doing good, brother.
Good, man. Good. Yes, exactly. Can't say what the week's like because still right in the fucking middle of it. So, but let's continue
when do you
going.
think's the last time we did this before we took the hiatus?
Fucking midweek, yes.
It's been a while, dude.
Yes, 100%. 100%. But let's continue going around the table, shall we? We got a very special guest joining us. I just found out about this a few days ago, and there's this. It is absolutely wild, and it's going around on UPSers Reddit, and it's called Roostergate. And I had no idea about this thing, and then this man just messaged us on Reddit there, and he was like, "You should check this out." And I checked it out. Sure enough, we got the man on himself. Guys, let me introduce you all the way from Oregon, Brian. Brian, how are you, buddy?
Good. How you doing, fellas?
Good, man. Thank you for doing this last minute again. Thank you, brother. So,
yeah, we appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, so Roostergate, please explain. This is wild.
All right, so we kind of gave, I can't really remember how it started, the name on it. I think maybe I gave that name to it as a joke, kind of trying to deal with the depression of it, or kind of the sudden shock of losing your job and going through panel with an airtight case. And I think I kind of just stuck Roostergate on it. And a couple of my friends from outside of the company, they helped me out with that. And one of my buddies made like the chicken with the flex and the IVT logo on it. It was just kind of a way to raise awareness. Not really so much about me. I know that it's a hot button. You've got two generations of employees on there. You've got the ones that are a little more, let's say just a little bit younger, like under 30.
Right.
That are of the generation of, there's no nuance, there's no shades of gray, there's black and white. And, I'm offended because I heard something that I shouldn't have been listening to, and therefore, I was eavesdropping and I get offended. So it's your responsibility to not say anything within any kind of earshot that could possibly offend anybody. And then you have the old heads, people that are older than myself that are like, you know what, get over it. We're in a blue collar, very high stress, especially right now. We're in a blue collar, high stress, pushing cardboard,
right?
On the grind type thing. And you should be allowed to have, if you want to discuss Deadpool with your buddies, if you want to discuss, whatever with your friends. If you want to have a "that's what she said" joke, that's okay. So there's really been any middle ground, and I think speaks to a greater thing of kind of what this country has lost. It's, are you here or are you here? There's no nuance. So it's been interesting as it blew up. And as you guys can see on there, you see there's probably 20-something pictures of people taking pictures of those rooster yards.
Yeah.
In solidarity, which makes me feel good. Unfortunately, it doesn't really do anything about getting my career back.
Yeah.
But it's nice to know there are people out there thinking about me. And the other thing that I wanted to use it as is I keep trying to bring it back to. It goes back to the point that there were some really, really good people that lost their careers with me at Panel. Not about me. I'll be okay. I came from a white-collar world to UPS because I enjoyed it. And I have a possibility to go back there. I've got a whole closet full of suits and stuff that I don't have any use for anymore. Maybe I.
Right.
We don't. Now there's obviously the legal action being taken on behalf of my attorney, but there were some really good UPSers there with me that lost their jobs, or were in the process of losing their jobs at Panel because of the ethics line. And I kept trying to bring it back and read it to people. It's not so much Roostergate. It's that how they weaponized it against me is a template that I believe that they're going to start rolling out. We all know that 20,000 jobs now are on the chopping block. They cut 12,000 manager jobs last year.
Right.
Now the 1,000 cuts they have to make, and they are going to start. They have the template in the West. We've seen people in the West that I've heard of had a driver in Eastern Oregon who got in a typical argument with one of his driver friends while they were waiting around for preload to finish. A preload supervisor called the ethics line and said that the one driver assaulted the other driver. And the driver in the argument, not the one that was accused, but the one who was allegedly the victim of the assault, immediately was like, "Oh, that is not an assault." And
it's an argument.
He went and stood up without even steward representation. He went into loss prevention and was like, "Don't you dare call that an assault. That's a normal course of action." Apparently, if I've got my facts right and I've been DM'd by the people that are kind of around it, he even showed up, I guess, at the center level hearing because he was so upset. He's like, "This is not an assault. This is an argument." We had a driver down in Salem, Oregon, 26-year veteran driver. He overheard some preloaders having a conversation. He thought they were having a flip conversation. He thought they were kind of making jokes. He admittedly wasn't listening to the whole conversation, and he thought they were kind of doing like a dumb ways to die type joke. And he said, "Well, has anyone thought about a gun?" And that telephone game got played to the point where the ethics line 3 days later got called on him, and UPS actually deemed him saying the word gun in the center as an unprovoked physical assault, which in our Western region is one of the 7 cardinal sins. My case was deemed rises to the level of a cardinal sin. So mine wasn't listed out as actually one of the 7 sins. And the nice thing was I had my business agent, who's this total stud here, for the shout out to the local 162 in Portland. My steward was incredible. They all pushed. They were like, "Go ahead and you tell us which of the 7 cardinal sins these are." UPS labor had no answer. And labor had no answer at Panel. So the sad thing was, even after them not having any of these answers and admitting that, yeah, it's probably not a cardinal sin, but we think maybe it rises to that level, admitting they didn't follow progressive discipline, any of the things that we'll probably get into,
right?
The arbitrator still upheld it. And for the West, we've never been a sitting arbitrator. Sitting arbitrators are brand new to us. We were center level, local level, then wait around for 6 to 8 months for the NLRB panel. national panel. That's what we were. Well, now we've got a sitting arbitrator, and this guy upheld that the 26-year driver that said the word gun, upheld that was a physical assault. He upheld that mine was a terminable offense, even though we decimated my defense team from the union. I mean, it was like OJ putting on the glove over and over, and that's not the best things. We all know OJ did it, but like,
right,
it was
yeah,
the glove, and then the forensics team going like, yeah, well, we lost track of his blood for 72 hours, but still,
right, yeah, dude,
over and over and over and over and over. I mean, so it was just one thing after another, with UPS being like, speechless. But that being said, in the end, they deadlocked on purpose to throw it to the arbitrator, in essence, because that's like a shot in the dark, right? That's your lottery ticket.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, we lost, but we got to try to cut jobs, so let's see what the arbitrator says. So that's kind of the 10,000-foot overview of what happened, but I just wanted to make sure that I let you guys know. Specifically, there's a lot of other people that are going to be facing this stuff. We have managers in the West now. Managers are calling the ethics line on union employees instead of coaching them or taking them aside. Steward, they're going right to the ethics line, because what happens is that when you call the ethics line, managers become out of it. It goes above even the division manager, so it goes to a level where, for example, my branch manager, I have a great relationship with him. My center manager, I drove with him when I first started 6 years ago. Very, very good driver, incredible driver, good guy. He wanted to actually, behind the scenes, he wanted to bring me back. He's like, this isn't really that big of a deal. It's kind of funny, Obviously, that's all off the record stuff.
Right.
And his boss they take a lot of value in my skill as a driver. They were told to stand down. This is above them. All because a fellow Teamster, a fellow driver, called the ethics line.
So I'm sorry to interrupt, but real quick though, because there's probably, our listeners probably don't know exactly what caused the ethic line call.
In my case?
Yes.
Okay. So
and
you've seen this.
if it's as simple as I think it is, I'm going to be mind blown. But go ahead.
So basically, we were having a really bad Monday. As you guys all know, Mondays routes cut. We all overlap. Especially
so the Mondays.
It was, and
Yep.
I was pushed out of my route. I was pushed south of one of the main dividing streets, and it was an area that I really had never delivered in the 5 years that I had my route. So we're just all having a crappy morning. Everybody knows it. We talked about it before we left the center. So I get out of the truck using 3 points of contact with my package in my power zone, and walk up, and I set the box down, and I look to my right, and there's this giant rooster yard statue. And I thought to myself in my head, I said, man, that's a huge cock.
Yeah.
In my mind, I'm like, I see what I did there. That's funny. And I was so stressed at that point, that little inkling of being able to laugh and smile about it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the crew would want to hear about this. Because we have a, you have a group text.
Yeah.
Yep. We both have one, I think, in our center, so we definitely, everybody's got one, yeah.
In our route, we have one like, hey, I got this misled for you. You want me to run it on the way to the airdrop?
Exactly.
Our route is weird that we all intermingle. And so basically, I took that picture and I sent it to our group. And I said, set the picture first, and then followed it up with, look at this huge cock. So it went picture, then text. I think that's important for people to understand. I didn't say, look at this huge cock, have people then think it could be sexual.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody knew a picture of a rooster yard statue. I sent it to two other I sent it to a manager. I sent it to the group. And then there were 2 female drivers that are 2 of my best friends there, and they are 2 of the better drivers, and they have 2 of the best senses of humors, and they will put a sailor to shame. They're just So I only sent it to people who I knew shared my humor, and I knew intimately shared that.
Of course.
So 3 hours later, we get to the airdrop, and we're all there at the airdrop, and we're waiting, and one of my good buddies, I'm not going to use names, but a driver that was on that group text. And I also sent this to some of my family too, family, friends,
Yeah, it is funny, dude. It's hilarious to see because it's fun when you say it like,
it was such a bad day. Any little bit of levity would have helped.
Of course.
And my buddy jumps off his truck and he's like, "Oh, Brian," he's like, "Have you been out delivering all day? Have you been out staring at cock?" And I said, "You know me, man. That's what I do. I saw the cock and I had to take a picture of it." And so then the air driver pulls up, and he's a fill-in driver that day because I think the normal driver was out on FMLA or something like that. And he's not a guy that normally knows us or hangs out with us or whatever. And, and so my friend said, "Oh man, did you see this?" He said to the guy, he goes, "Did you see this?" He goes, "Brian's out taking pictures of his cock." And the guy kind of looks at us weird, like, "What?" He goes, "Oh yeah, Brian's got this massive cock." And we were all just laughing, and it's funny that we still had a helper on the truck. This was January 13th, so we still had a helper on my friend's truck, and he was laughing because he had seen it too. So I grabbed my phone and I held it up to the fill-in driver and like, "Dude, it's a picture of a rooster. Okay, I sent this picture to the group. We're all in a bad day, and he
it's a joke."
Smiled. I thought, okay, cool. He gets it. So then our other friend pulls up, the female, and she's one of the best drivers in the building. She has an incredible sense of humor. I would just describe it as a wicked, wicked sense of humor.
I get it.
She's one of everybody's favorite people. And she pulled up, and normally when she fills in on a route, she and my friend and myself, we all have like a little improv thing we do to, like, if it's a new driver, if a new driver's filling in, like we don't know, she'll be like, "Don't touch my truck." "I didn't say you could touch my truck. Don't put that your package on my truck. Wait for the air driver." And then me and him will be like, "Oh man, you pissed her off now, man. don't mess with her."
Yeah.
And so how long we could take it before they break, and then she's like, "Oh, honey, just get," because she's a sweetheart, and she's like, "Oh my God, I'm totally kidding with you. Why would you not be able to touch my truck?" So we have a little improv thing going, and so my friend's like, "Hey, so and so," I'm not going to use names. "Oh, so and so, did you see Brian's cock?" And she says, she goes, "I do not need to see any more cock today. If you've seen one cock, you've seen them all." She starts making cock jokes. And she had a smile on her face. She was laughing. She didn't say penis. She didn't say dick. She didn't say junk. All she was saying was cock. And she kept saying it. And so knowing her for over 3 years, this is someone I talked to for like an hour a night. Without going into too much detail of completely platonic friend, never any interest in romance, basically like my sister, someone I relied on as a fellow single parent. She's been a huge blessing to me in my life. Someone that I would say is incredible.
Amazing.
A great, great human being.
Totally.
And so she, we're all doing the bucket brigade, hand in air in between the trucks and everything. And everyone's throwing around the word cock. We're snickering like toddlers that have just discovered the word poop.
Right.
I got the phone up so everybody can see it's a rooster. She already had opened the text, so she had 3 hours earlier. I had thought, oh, she knew what I'm talking about. So I'm basically jumping around. If you're familiar, Dave, you might not be. You're too young. Luke, you might be. There's a movie called Life of Brian with Monty Python, and there's a scene where it's alms for an ex-leper, and the ex-leper's like bouncing around. It's like, alms for an ex-leper, alms for an ex-leper. And
Monty
they're like,
Python.
wait, ex-leper? Oh, Jesus cured me, sir. And so, like, that was kind of the vibe of, I was kind of like just laughing, and I was like, oh yeah, cock, cock, cock. And it was all light, it was all whatever. And so we go about the rest of our day, everyone leaves. So that Friday, I get pulled in to a meeting with a steward. And he sits there and he's like, do you have any idea why I'm talking to you? And I'm like, I have no idea. And he goes, this is funny. And he's like, and I can't believe we're having this conversation, but he's like, do you remember the rooster picture from Monday? And I'm like, yeah, what about it? And he's like, well, someone took offense. And I said, who would take offense to that? And he's like, well, I can't tell you who that is, but I could tell you it wasn't one of the females. And he goes, and I think you know that. And I'm like, huh. So then he's like, I think you're going to be okay. Loss prevention wants to talk to you. He's like, remember, here are the 7 cardinal sins in the West, which is, like no drinking, no transporting drugs, proven dishonesty, no unauthorized passengers, reckless driving that causes some kind of fatality, destruction of company property, and unprovoked assault. Those are our 7 sins.
Mm-hmm.
And so they pull me in with loss prevention. Loss prevention is, as you guys know, HR's been cut. So now HR, it's kind of like, well, that's not a conflict, is it?
Right.
So they start answering questions. Did you do this? Did you do that? I'm like, yeah, here's the text. There you go. There's my phone. Can I take a picture of it? Absolutely. Absolutely. Go ahead. So he starts asking me questions. Did you send this? Who'd you send this to? Send it to the group. Send it to some friends and family. Send it to my on-road, who replied with, oh my God, that thing is erect. Stunning.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So they said, well, did you at any point say the word erect cock? I said, no, I did not say erect cock, but I'm like, one of your managers did in a text. Here it is. Showed him that. And he said, well, he started asking me questions about it, if I thought it was appropriate. And I said, based on the day we were having, I said, I was trying to bring a little levity. And I said, you need to understand that when we're out there, we have so many thirsty secretaries making package jokes. We get it just as bad as guys.
Yeah.
Especially UPS men. I said, it's basically the same as, I said, we were all having kind of a discussion of all the disgusting things that really aren't disgusting that we have to say in the course of our work. Like if someone go pick up Dick's Sporting Goods and we get a dyad mesh, it's like, hey, can you grab my dicks for me? I said stuff like that.
Right.
The public hears that, they would be horrified.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Yes.
the guy can't wrap his head around that. Like, it'd be like, I said, look, I'm like, Mary Poppins, the original one? I said, if I sent you a picture of Dick Van Dyke, and then I followed up with, this is an unsolicited dick pic, I'm like, that's sexual? No, that's funny.
Right.
Because sexual, the picture came first. And I kept trying to explain to him how it wasn't sexual because the picture came first. And then we described it. And he couldn't wrap his head around that.
That's also what they're known to be called for sometimes, too. People be like, man, look at that.
Yeah.
Cock.
Yeah, that's another name. That's another name for him, too. It's not like you. Yeah, exactly.
That's back. Hold on.
That's the most craziest part. Is
The fact
been called a cock
that
before.
somebody said they've always been called a cock. That's always been a name for it. Cockfighting.
No.
That's roosters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's fucking that's another name for them.
What's funny is, so then they let me do, of course, because it's a Friday, they let me do a 10.5-hour route. And then at the end of the day, they were waiting for me to walk me out.
Oh. Shit.
Don't you would have me out in the morning? Now, here's the interesting thing. So
They didn't have anybody to cover the route.
yeah. So here's the interesting thing is that having heard the testimony read from the witnesses, including one of my friends, he's like, I didn't say any of that. He's like, I said, I thought it was hilarious. There was nothing sexual about it. He's like, we were talking about a rooster. Anyway. So bottom line is, at center level hearing, obviously, labor took the stance of, we think this rises to the level of a cardinal sin. Now, the other thing that was fascinating about this was finding out that the female in question, my friend.
Oh, no. Hold on a second.
Oh, no.
Hold on a second, Brian. We can't hear you. Hold on a second.
Oh, he might be. I bet he's getting a call.
It says,
he's probably getting a call, maybe.
That's what it says. I think we got you back now.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
So basically, they said it came out in the center level hearing who called the ethics line, and it was a fellow team, and it was a fellow driver, who didn't know me or know us or know our rapport. Wow. And it came out that the female wasn't. And when I had talked to her, and I know UPS is like, oh, we don't want you to talk to people, this is an investigation. Well, there was no gag order given, but also they do that because it's like an old police trick. They don't want everyone to get their story straight.
Right.
And they want to do whatever they can do to paint the worst light possible. And she told me, she's like, I had no idea. When they said, do you remember what happened at the airdrop today? She's like, did someone forget a misload? They're like, no. Like, did we not give all the air? No. Something happened with Brian? Like, what are you talking about? Did he miss something? Did he forget something? They're like, no, the rooster joke. She's like, yeah, what's the deal? It was Brian being... So they tried to paint it at the center level hearing like, oh, she was, a woman in a man's world and whatever. And my steward that was in there with all of us, they used the same steward for everything. He's like, she absolutely did not. She was like, it was Brian being Brian. She's like, the only thing that frustrated me was I thought I was running behind and I didn't have time to chat with the guys like I normally would. She goes, that's the only thing that upset me. She's like, So, anyway, we go to panel. And we go to panel in Boise. And so, this is, I should preface this by saying, boys, while I was out suspended, so I was suspended January 17th, panel was March 19th. While I was suspended, one of the on-roads that was in that group text, the one that said the word erect, sends me, who is a very, 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 very good guy. He's one of us. He was an undergrad teacher. He's one of the good guys. He is, I'm sure he's really frustrated with the culture right now because he's actually one of the best.
And I've always said too, man, there are definitely good people on that side. It's not like it's, you know what I mean? I'll always advocate that as well. But so, go ahead.
He sent me a text of a meme that was a picture of the Pharaoh from The Mummy Returns, that actor, and it said, when you've trained 3 years for cockfighting and you show up and the referee asks you where your rooster is. He said that while I was suspended. And I called him up and I was like, dude, I know I have a great sense of humor. I said, but that kind of stings, man. And I'm like, especially under what's going on.
Right.
Like, what do you mean what's going on? And he's like, what's going on? And I'm like, you didn't hear? And I was like, oh, okay, well, I got suspended for that cock joke. And, like, that was a big deal. And he's like, oh, really? And he had been moved to a different center. And
so he wasn't even aware.
I had no idea. He's like, wow, man. And so we had some other texts and everything. And the thing that really kind of, and I actually, talked to the union about that. I talked to my steward and I said, look, I don't want this to really, I don't know how to handle this. So this is a manager while I'm suspended for making a cock joke, sending me a cock joke. I'm like, that doesn't really sit well with me.
Mm.
But at the time, it's also a guy that we all know and love. So I don't know, like, it doesn't seem fair, but what do we do? And so eventually it got to the union and they handled it the best they could. So we go to panel and we're ready to rock and roll. So can you guys see me okay?
No, there you go.
Yep,
I was going
gotcha.
to say I could hear you, but I couldn't.
Packet. All right. So we've got union position. Now, the position, the people that need to understand is when they see on Reddit, is everybody like, I'm sorry or I'm not remorseful or what. The position that we took was there's usually two kind of things. There's the mercy, right? I did it, mea culpa, please have mercy. I'm a good guy, great employee,
Right.
whatever. What we took was this is not a cardinal sin. Progressive discipline was not followed. This was a procedural thing. And so this was the overview stating the allegations did not constitute a cardinal infraction based on our Article 28.2. They should have been subject to progressive discipline. They were no way grounds for immediate termination. Therefore, we respect that the grievant, Brian, be returned to work with no loss of seniority or benefits or anything like that. So then we have right here, we've got his statement, exhibits, yada, yada, yada. This is where it kind of gets fun. So, of course, they have to provide us with the glorious
right.
packet.
The glorious cock.
There it is.
There's the when you're training for cockfight. Oh, this is a good one. So my business agent basically signed this letter. It said, I conducted a center level hearing with the Cascade Center manager, redacted. Well, I won't say his name on
Yep.
Thursday, January 30th, so 2 weeks after I was suspended. As I entered his office, I noticed a small bag on the short file cabinet in clear view with a colorful picture of a rooster on it. I took a picture of it. I asked him what the bag was. He replied it was his cock sack. I grabbed the bag and placed it on his desk and took the picture of the bag with so-and-so. I was surprised to encounter this situation. I was fully aware that the company had removed Brian from service and terminated him for the same issue. We had already filed the termination grievance, and we had confirmed a center-level hearing with the labor manager 2 days earlier.
Wow.
There's,
Jesus.
in an office full of women, the center manager for the company had this backpack that he referred to as his cock
sack.
Oh, my.
Wow.
I would also like to point out that the center manager that did this is one of the great center managers. He was my old center manager. He moved back to Tualatin. He was the original Hillsborough one. One of the he cares about. He's a good dude. So anyway, there's a picture of him laughing about it.
And it's just because it all went higher above them.
There's the definition of cock. We pulled that out as a defense thing. Adult male rooster, first definition, male birds other than the chicken, the crowing of a cock, a weathercock, device, a leader, a person of a certain swagger, the hammer and the lock of a firearm. And then the fifth one is vulgar. Then we've got uses in the ear of the cock. Oh, look. Then we have the University of South Carolina, an institution of higher learning that leans into it. Go cock. That out. This one, here we go. University of South Carolina, Saturday are for the cocks. This one was awesome. This is a baby onesie that says huge cock fan. So we're basically saying to them, if an institute of higher learning leans into that for their athletic teams, about a chicken. How does this rise to the level of a cardinal sin?
Exactly.
Come on.
The hardest thing for a lot of people was the fact they kept saying, well, it was her. And the union got back to the one that called the ethics line. You can't be offended for someone else. So then we showed the contract, our 7 cardinal sins in there. Proven dishonesty, drinking of beverages while on duty, recklessness resulting in serious accident, unauthorized passengers, unprovoked assault, selling, transporting, or using illegal narcotics while in the employment of the employer, willful, wanton, or malicious damage to their property shall be dischargeable without the necessity of a warning letter being in effect. Now, here's the interesting thing that they actually did. The union went back and showed our 2023 contract negotiation notes. This is one of the notes that didn't make it into the final. UPS proposed in the West an 8th cardinal sin, which was other serious infractions, right? What? Union said, no. They struck down. Then they showed how, what was in there? Discharges and suspension. Oh, they showed how, this is the one. They showed that sexual harassment would be included as an 8th cardinal offense. This was not in there. The union struck it down. So what they said that I did was they alleged sexual harassment. We showed the arbitrator asked for sexual harassment as a cardinal offense. It was not. So then, just to make sure that that's any... Oh, the parties also recognize that there are other actions and offenses of an egregious nature that may warrant immediate discharge without warning letters. Examples could be sexual harassment. They tried to get sexual harassment in a 3rd time. Union said, So they showed all the notes up here from the negotiating sessions, and then they went back and they showed that back in 1997, before any of us were working for the company with the big strike, they had other serious, they had, let's see, in case of discharge or other causes of equal seriousness was the bottom one. And one of the heads of the union panel asked the UPS guy, he said, you know why we had that taken out after 1997? And then the labor guys, they were really snotty. And they were like, no, you're older than us. Why don't you tell us? That's respectful. And he said, because of stuff exactly like this. You guys will you're twisting this narrative.
Yeah, right.
If we do that. So then the other fun thing was they whipped out an entire packet because what UPS alleged was I violated Article 37, that last sentence that says treat everybody with respect, which I always think that's hilarious because Article 37 is like 15 sentences about how managers should treat us, and then the last one says, yeah, employees should also treat each other with respect, and UPS uses that to try to get us in trouble and not police them. Anyway.
Right.
So from my time of being suspended, they went just the Portland area center. So Portland, Alderwood, Hillsborough, and Tualatin, and they pulled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Article 37 and 28.2 violate UPS's professional code of conduct and anti-harassment policy. And the union said, here are all these. Now, since you worded that exactly the way that Brian's termination letter was worded, what was so different about his? And they couldn't answer it. They had no answer. So then the union honed in on him and basically said, the panel asked the question to the labor guys. They said, how come you guys how come we don't get any of these warning letters from October 15th? We don't see those. And he said, I'll tell you why. He goes, because it's peak and you need the people. So you only care about this from
Right.
January through October. They had no answer for that. So then they honed in on, they said, is the ethics line collectively bargained? Labor said no. He said, is the code of conduct and the golden rule collectively bargained? And Labor, again, said no. And they kept honing in on that over and over and over and over again. And they're like, can you change the code of conduct at any time as a company if you so feel like it? And UPS is like, yeah. And he said, is it held from CEO all the way down to the most lack of seniority preloader? And they said, yeah, everybody should be following that. And he's like, well, then let me ask you this. How come those two managers are still employed by UPS?
Right.
They couldn't answer it. And at that point, the arbitrator looked really, really, he was just shaking his head like this. And we thought we had it locked up.
Yeah, it would
So
seem that way. I mean,
get out of panel. I'm getting high-fived. Everyone's like dapping it up. Everybody's great. Everybody's like, oh my God, you guys whooped them. I mean, at one point, the labor guy for UPS, the labor rep, tried to rebut Article 28.2. He like legit, he's like, I'd like to rebut Article 2, which is what says, in the West, it says the 7 cardinal sins. And so immediately my defense union goes, we're going to have a point of order on that. And the UPS part of the panel guy's like, wait, dude, what are you doing? You can't rebut. He's like, wait, you can't rebut something that we agreed to in a contract. I was like, well, yeah. He's like, you can't rebut a contract that's been signed. And he's like, oh yeah, I guess I misspoke. So we withdrew the point of order. So down in the elevator, we're getting high-fived, everything. Later that day, a couple of the union guys that sat in, because, when you go to panel, there's like 20 other people sitting behind. And you guys just smoked them. I had my statement I read that talked about how much I loved UPS, which I do, how much I enjoyed it, how much I enjoyed my career, all the things that it meant to me and my family, especially being a single dad, and being able to provide for my daughter. None of that it fell on deaf ears. And I don't know if I don't really know what happened. We think what happened was the very first panel case went 5.5 hours. And so then they tried to rush all the term cases. What they do is they handle all the term cases at once, and then they handle the other procedural ones. So after mine, I think they did the guy with the gun, the guy that said gun down in Salem, and I think they did one other one. And then they broke and let the arbitrator think about stuff. And then I guess he came back the next day and made his ruling. So what we think happened was that he forgot that we had pounded into them. The point was, this is procedural. You should have warned him. You should have written warned him. It was not a terminable offense. And he kind of lumped it in with everything else of, I think this was bad behavior. So, that was kind of, UPS didn't really go hard on me either. When it was their time to actually ask me questions, all they could ask me was, well, she kept saying no. And I'm like, yes, but you had to see the context. She was like, no, I don't need to see any more cocks. No, I've already seen enough cocks for today. She said it with a giant smile on her face. And I said she only was using the word cock. Wasn't saying anything else.
right.
And I said, I know her the way that none of you people know her. And no one else really knows her. And I'm like, I'm mad, and I know what she's done and is not wanting to joke around, because she has been mad at me in real life several times. Like I said, was my best friend there, and she was not mad at all. And the funniest thing was the last question the arbitrator asked me. He goes, "How come you think it wasn't sexual?" And I said, "Sir, because it was a picture of a rooster. It was a picture of a chicken. It's not sexual. There's nothing sexual about it. I'm sorry, there wasn't." And so that was kind of where we were. And then I got the call. I was on my way home from one of my daughter's track meets. I drove home from Boise. Probably spent about $900 in gas and lodging, whatever. And I got the call driving home from my daughter's track meet 2 days later, and they're like, "I'm stunned. We lost." And he said, I said, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "We went in there." And he goes, "I got the decision, and I came out. There was a bunch of other people waiting for me from the Teamsters, and they're like, 'So how much back pay do you get?'" He goes, "That was the first question." And my defense rep goes, "We didn't get any. We lost." And they were like, "What the?" He goes, "There's like this roar in the hallway. Like, how the hell did he lose? You guys beat the hell out of him. It was an open and shut, black and white win." We lost. Yes, the way it was explained to me was that the union basically, when it was done, they kind of turned to the UPS people and they're like, "Okay, how much back pay? You want to go full back pay?" And they were like, "No, we're good." And they were like, "Okay, well, what?" Y'all got your asses whooped. Like, what? Like, okay, so a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks of back pay? No back pay. Okay, fine. Just time served? We had offered time served every step, by the way. Some people on Reddit were like, "You should have offered a time served." The moment I got suspended for that, we offered time served. We offered. So I guess they said time served. UPS was like, "No." I guess the union, if again, what I've heard from the union people that were in there, I guess they offered for me to sit out another month, so it'd be a full 90 days. And UPS was like, "No, we're going to send it to the arbitrator," because they knew they had no shot. And as we see now, the mandate is get rid of employees. So they were like, "Well, we got our asses kicked. We're probably going to have to pay him. But if we get lucky, we only have to fire 19,999 union people." So here I am.
So was it? So did they were stuck on it being sexual harassment? No matter that was what their final thing. Like, dude, I just want to say one thing with. There are 4 female drivers I'm thinking of right now that I've worked with. I've been there for 18 years almost, and they're all retired now, and to even like just because it seems like they just wanted to keep directing it, like you were saying, you can't be offended for someone else when they weren't. But like the 4 women I'm thinking of, and I mean, I'll say their first names. They wouldn't care. I miss them all. They were all great, great workers and good. But like Tracy and Jody, Donna and Robin, anybody in my building that's listening to this right now, they would have laughed their asses off too. And I can't believe that and I feel like most female, obviously there is stuff that does happen in a nationwide company. There is sexual harassment. I'm not being naive to that, but I would say in my experience, I feel like you were saying with the blue collar kind of workforce and female drivers. I mean, if they were on here right now, I know they would say it. Donna, she was the most gutter-minded, smut-minded person probably in our center. If you said something to her, she would whip it right back. And it was like not even nobody thought twice about it. And it's just, I can't believe that I mean, that was literally everything that you just showed us right there, and everything that it's hard for me to fathom really that it can still, I mean, dude, well, I know we did this fast, and we just literally met about an hour ago, and dude, I just want to say that I appreciate you coming on to say this so much more now, because that's dangerous, man. Like you were saying, the way they can do that, like that's nothing. That's literally what you said is that a rooster is a cock is another definition for a rooster. Everybody knows that. It's been a thing, and the fact that it got to, that's just I don't even know how to say, like, it would be almost impossible to watch your P's and Q's like that. But dude, I just, I don't know what to say. I don't have a lot of words because I'm stunned. As you've been saying it, I've literally been stunned by it. Probably the same reaction they had.
I think the one thing, Luke and Dave, is that I wanted to get the point across to people was that there's a reason I sent the picture first. Just like I would never, if I could totally see the company frame it if I sent something that said, "Check out this huge cock." 2 minutes later,
right. You could see them. Sorry,
my daughter got that from one of her male friends. I'd be like, "Nah, dude, you probably should have done it the other way around."
right.
But I sent that picture, and then I sent the text, "Look at this huge cock." And maybe it's the way my brain doesn't work. I didn't really find that to be sexual. Maybe I'm an old head. I don't know. I think that one thing that we need to be self-aware of as men, and I think all men should strive to do a better job at, and I'm being serious on this, especially as a father of a daughter, and I have one brother, and like I have 4 sisters, and so I've grown up around, is that you never know, like, I guess you have to constantly be aware, but at the time I feel like people need to be aware of each other enough and know what will fly in certain situations. And I feel like that's the thing. I didn't send that. There's a reason, like I explained to my union defense, was like, there's a reason why that didn't go out to the entire center.
Yeah. Right.
I appreciated it. And the other thing that's unfortunate is the collateral damage at my center has been pretty bad. First of all, the 2 female drivers that I sent it to are I don't care, guy, girl, they're 2 of the best drivers in the company. In Hillsboro, they're probably 2 of the top 10 or 15 drivers. They're incredible drivers, great with customers. They're safe. They're good drivers. Like, period. I don't care, man or woman. I'll take those 2 any day of the week, twice on Sunday. And it's funny. The company's like, well, so after the company admitted that, well, it's probably not a cardinal sin, but we think it rises to that. They said, well, why do you feel like it's sexual harassment? And the labor said, well, because he targeted her. And the union panel shot back. They said, well, did he target 8? Did he target Nick? Did he target Julie? Did he target Mike? Did he target Carlos? Did he target Christian? Did he target his sister? Did he,
Right.
Like, how, or when it was a bunch, and they're like, well, fine, you didn't target her. He made it hard for her to leave. And then the union's like, okay, put a pin in that. They're like, Brian, did you block her truck with your truck? No. Did you stand in front of her truck? No. Did you hold her? No. Did you restrain her? No. Did you ask her to stay? No. He goes, did she get in her car and drive off? And I said, yeah. And he goes, okay. Did you do anything that would have prevented her from leaving? And I said, no. And they're like, okay. And they're like, so do you have anything else that you want to say that he did? I mean, it looked really, it was completely disorganized. But the challenge in my center is that you don't think that a guy driver would call on another guy.
Right.
And so that poor woman, who is one of the best drivers, one of the coolest people at our center, is now basically a pariah. And people are like, well, did she call the ethics line on Brian? No, she did not. She was not offended. She thought it was funny. She thought it was me being me. I tell stupid dad jokes too. I'm that guy, I guess. Whatever. I'm that guy that's the funniest thing that just sticks my craw in all of this is, you guys probably edit this out or whatever if you want to when you get is that after I lost my job, the guy that called, the driver that called, he was a former manager who went driver. He bid on my route. The dude that got me fired. And basically, when all those people on Reddit first were really, really frustrated and calling him out, which they said some inappropriate things. I mean, I defended him and I said, you don't know why someone does something. He didn't know the relationship that myself and the other driver had with that girl. She's like the woman is in our crew. We do little acts and things to try to break up the. Maybe he thought he was being a white knight. I don't know. And some people said some really inappropriate stuff like, oh, how we used to handle rats back in the day. I stuck up for the guy. Well, he went back to the center and he doubled down and said people were making threats against him online. And so then I got blowback, and I'm like, well, all I'm doing is trying to share the story because my business agent said, this is a strategy by the company to cull the herd. He said, we've got a sitting arbitrator in the West, and he goes, you're going to be at panel with a couple other people with weird kind of things that we've never seen before. And what'll happen is if they can get you guys terminated, now all of a sudden they've got a template and a strategy. This stuff might not fly in the East Coast because if you guys have seen some of the riders where you guys are, you guys got pretty strong language. Like even if you've got a cardinal sin and you're suspended for it, they got to pay you guys all the way up until panel. I think there's you guys have some strong language. We have strong language in the West, but we're also the West, right? We're Portland and LA and hippy dippy and woke, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
And we had a driver at my center I heard of, slammed the door in frustration, had a bad day. Someone called the ethics line on him and said he assaulted the door.
Are you shitting me? Oh, man.
That's what I don't know if hopefully the ethics line was like, nah, we'll go ahead and toss it out of there. But that it is an active strategy on the West Coast. We had a girl in Seattle. She was at panel with me. I don't think her case got heard. And again, I'm hoping I'm not blowing up any pot here or spilling tea out of school. But she was suspended pending the panel. She was one of those girls, attractive girl, outgoing girl, great with customers. One of those ones who's really proud to wear the brown. So she had you've seen them, the younger TikTok and all that. Social media, a lot of UPS stuff. Somehow that got twisted into her having an OnlyFans page. She did not have an OnlyFans page. Her center, someone heard about it in the office and called the ethics line and said, hey, we have a driver who has an OnlyFans page. UPS suspended her. She's like, I don't have an OnlyFans page. They still suspended her. And now she's going to panel for termination. Now, I don't know what they think they have, because that to me sounds like a massive lawsuit if she really doesn't have one.
Yeah, I mean, that would feel like that'd be pretty easy to prove if you don't have one. Like, if there's no record, there's no record. So,
even though, we can hire lawyers to go after UPS, but we can't until the union's done and termination and everything's done, because we've got that good faith negotiation part. But she had a lawyer. She was very smart. She had a lawyer in backup. And that's a chess piece that you can use against the company and be like, oh, we can go to panel. We'll go to panel. But just so you know, I've retained this attorney. So when the good faith representation period ends, now it's going to be me, my attorney, and you guys.
Right.
Or you can sue for breach of contract. And we have, and I think I've shown, and you guys can see from look it up in the West, what I did was not a cardinal sin. What I did, even if it was sexual harassment, which it wasn't, because we proved that it wasn't, sexual harassment was not a cardinal sin. It requires progressive discipline. So no matter how you want to slice this, it should have been progressively disciplined. And what's done is done. I've retained an attorney. We'll see how it plays out. I just want UPSers to be aware that this is now the weapon. And I truly, truly believe that they're going to weaponize it, because UPS labor talks every day about strategy, and they share it. All 50 states, all those labor people, whatever regions they're in, they talk every single day, and they share strategy, they share notes, they share how to attack us. All the unions, all the locals, yeah, we're under IBT, but it's kind of like little fiefdoms, and that's not a bad thing. Every region of the country is different, right? Different
Right.
flavors, different folks, but we don't share the strategies the way that UPS labor does. And so that was the whole reason why I went on Reddit, was the grieving process. It's helped heal a little bit, because this was a punch in the face to me and my family. I don't know if
Absolutely.
you've ever
Yeah.
paid for a graduate or go to graduation is a racket. So let's just put it like that. And it hurts. It's but I want people to know that there is this out there. And to be quite honest, when UPS admitted on the record at my panel that the code of conduct and the ethics line and the golden rules weren't collectively bargained, I'm like, well, what are we doing? We have discipline in every single contract supplement writer. We have clear discipline language. It's already written in there. If you look up the NLRB guidelines, an employer cannot just force conduct on you without bringing it to the table. So I am truly shocked that somewhere down the line, someone at the IBT hasn't said, whoa, time out on this code of conduct, all these violations. Basically, right now in the West, the ethics point is to encourage union on union crime. We have called it many times. I have many friends we've called it on, swept under the rug. You're asking management to investigate themselves at that point.
Right.
Yeah, Joe, the center manager, let's say, there's not really one named Joe, but Joe, the point from ethics call. One of your employees said you did this. Can you investigate? One day later, Joe emails back to the ethics line. Oh, I investigated myself and I didn't do anything wrong. That's kind of how it works,
Right.
Kind of like, the Los Angeles Chargers have done a very thorough internal investigation, and we found that we did nothing wrong. Stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, dude. I don't know if it's also like it's for me. I will say I know I can't speak for Dave, but I'm pretty sure he would agree with me on here. We definitely won't edit that part with that guy, the former manager, the driver that did that. I applaud you for taking up for the man and doing what you did, but for me, like the fact that the fact of bidding your route even as a chariot, I feel like I'm going to say it. I think it's a scumbag move on his part, and I don't know this man. I don't know anything about him, but if it's dangerous to me that can, like, people can get a thought in their head that they think, that they're going to think for someone else, whoever this female driver is. And yeah, for me, I'm pretty old. I'm a mixture, man. I'm old school, and but I have a saying that I live by, is embrace the weird and welcome the strange. And what I basically mean is we're all weird and strange in someone's eyes. So, let's always embrace each other. But the old school part of me, man, is just like, it would be, I mean, it's hard for me to even sit there and think, because I have a daughter. Now, she's about to be 3 years old, but just as a father, and I know you said you came from the white collar world and everything, and you don't come, it's not like it's the end of it's not the end of the line. You'll have other opportunities if this doesn't end up working out and stuff like that. But just like that part, and I haven't been a dad for that long though, and just the fact now, but it hits so much, like, man, and that would be the only reason for me. That would be the only reason I probably wouldn't whip that guy's ass, is because I couldn't go to jail, because I would still have to take care of my daughter. And that, if they're going to call an ethics line for someone else, they're definitely going to press charges. So I would have to refrain. And man, I'm like sitting here kind of, I mean, it's what, 10 after 11 our time, and I'm sitting here just wired. Like, I'm so amped, like, that this dude, I could keep repeating myself over and over again, but
there's a lot more. There's stuff that we wanted to delve in a little bit on the improv that me and the woman that I sent the text and the friend that jumped off the truck, and we all kind of started joking. We wanted to delve into that. We wanted to delve into, there's some texts that her and I have sent to each other over the years to make each other laugh that are very X-rated, and they don't. A normal person would look at it and be like, "Oh my god, I'm horrified," but they're from her to me.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like everybody has one of those people at work. Like, everybody has one of those people. And don't get me wrong, dude. Like you were saying about those female drivers, and like you would take them any day and twice on Sunday. Dude, same thing at my center. We have some female drivers where they will put these male drivers to shame out there on the road. Like 110%. And it's the same thing. Like, I know exactly what you're saying, because I too have a friend like that at work who's also a female driver. And it's just like, you can have those funny conversations and those inappropriate, whatever, like jokes that will make each other laugh, and I completely understand that, dude.
Yeah. And the thing is that all these women that we're talking about are badass women.
100%.
That if you got out of line, they put you right in place. That's
right.
The thing is, that is the only thing that I struggle on, because I think people need to understand, and maybe people that are watching this or whatever will, think that I'm out of line or whatever. But I think sometimes people want to have their cake and eat it too, where it's like, I'm in a man's world, and I can handle myself. I belong in a man's world. I can do the job better or whatever, which, again, proof's in the pudding. These are some of our best drivers are female, so you could say they can do the job better. So, But then when something like this happens that maybe kind of is against the narrative or whatever, then it's like, oh, it's so hard being in a man's world and you don't get it. And look, men are disgusting. We know this. We all need to be better. We do.
100%.
A little bit of grace. Look, I've said some stupid shit to girls. I think I'm charming. Maybe I'm not so much in my old age. I don't know. I don't going in my body again. Frustrated at the dude for what he did. Don't wish on him. But I've said some stupid stuff. Put my foot in my mouth, said stuff I wish I could take back. And I struggle with that, honestly. Luke, I struggle with people who've asked me, they're like, would you take this back? I try to be real and I try to be honest. And honestly, from the smiles that I saw when the people were bouncing off their trucks at the airdrop, I mean, yes. In a time machine, if Einstein would have invented a time machine, could I go back and take it? Yes, I would go back and not.
Right.
I left the airdrop that day pretty proud of myself, thinking that I actually cheered my friends up and I brought some levity. It was a crap. And I was like, awesome. Like that I just, and so that steamrolled, long story short, panel's over. Now all of a sudden everybody's taking rooster pictures, putting it on there.
You were just unapologetically yourself, is what it sounds like. Like, that's,
yeah. Yeah, and I that's who I try to be. I think most people that know me at my center know that I'm a good person. I mean, if you've got a kid's game you got to get home to, I will be, and I'm done. I'll go grab your stuff and I'll finish. I did favors for people. There's people there that I don't like, obviously, and but we were all in it together,
Yeah.
And I'm more frustrated at, like I said, I'm more frustrated at the collateral damage because, people have told me that my friend, she's changed. He's not as outgoing and is not as, and so it's pitted the center against each other because now there's all these rumors running around. It got so bad, I got a phone call one day, basically said that we heard you at the airdrop, sexually assaulted her in the back of a truck. That's out there. And of course, it was someone said you whipped your cock out. And I'm like, well, yeah, I did whip my cock out. I whipped a rooster out. But, I mean, the stuff was bad. It got bad, and have to sit there and hear that. Like, that you sexually assaulted a friend, or you did this, you did that. It's just like, man, this is not true. And, there's, like I said, there's a lot more that could have come out. We could have defended me on there.
Yeah.
But had we defended me with some of the stuff that we had, it would have painted her in a bad light.
Yeah.
And who after her?
Right.
And so do that. She's a single mom, and and her kid is going to be, having hung out with her kid many times, her kid is going to be one of the rising stars of something someday. Her kid is a very, very amazing young woman, and I'm not about to put someone else out of a job or risk their job because I'm trying to defend myself.
Of course.
That's my story. I mean, if you guys have any more questions, I think I pretty much covered.
You covered it very well, man. And I will say, you're a very good speaker too, man. Because that's another thing we've done a lot of podcast episodes. We've had a lot of guests on, and I don't know if you've ever recorded or done anything before, but I mean, you told it very well. And it's like one of those that, we've had episodes when we've had people on, and it's like, we don't even have to, like, when you do it. So yeah, dude, you told it very well. And I mean, like I said, other than me, I'll keep spinning my wheels, just kind of mind blown at the whole situation that it could get to that. But I think it's just, it's excellent to raise the awareness of it for people, especially because most of our listeners, I would say, I mean, we have a variety, but a bulk of them are UPS drivers, I would say.
97%.
If they're not UPS, they're probably connected to, if they're not, you know what I mean? So it's something that really, people need, because of these job cuts and what they're doing. And like you said, it could just make it, that kind of does the work for them to where they don't have to, over literally the slightest thing. So I don't have any other questions on my end other than, again, I appreciate you coming on and telling your story. But Dave, if you got.
Yeah, no, I mean, same thing, dude. Just like Luke said, it's mind blowing to take that all in right now. and I'm sorry that happened to you, dude. And being, like you said, a single father of a girl who's about to go into college. I have two young boys, a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old myself. Luke and I both are younger parents, if you will. And
understand, fellas, both of you got young. It goes quick. I feel like
100%, especially with this job. Yep.
Cherish it, stay in the moment.
So
that's like my sister's kids, dude. My oldest nephew's going to be 17, and I was telling people when my wife was pregnant, and everybody was like, "It goes so quick," and I'm like, "Oh, I know. I've seen it. I've seen it with my nieces and nephews and all my friends' kids, and man, when it's your own." Why, Lord, does it seem to go 3 times as fast? But yeah, it's so true, man.
So true.
One thing that I forgot to say is that, and this was a part of the, you guys have probably gotten on Reddit and seen my stuff, is that my steward brought out a great point that, now that we don't have HR in the buildings anymore, or in a lot of the buildings, and now it's loss prevention, it's the HR, use stewards. And I know everybody's split. Locals have them better than others. Some, everyone wants to blame someone. Oh, my steward is awful, or whatever. Point is if me and Luke are working together, and I say something, to Luke that offends him, or Luke's like, I really didn't like that. So Luke goes to the steward later and is like, hey, man, Brian said something that really just rubbed me the wrong way. And what do I do? And, and then the steward, their experience, would be like, hey, man, well, talk to me about it. Like, what are you feeling? Whatever. Well, Luke, have you thought about going to Brian and being like, hey, man, what's up? And the steward will give you some feedback, give you the feedback model, give you some constructive things to do. Or we've had stewards at my center that'll go grab the guy and be like, hey, man, look, what kind of mood are you in? Are you in a chill mood? Can you take some feedback? You want to listen to some wise counsel right now? Okay. Well, one of your coworkers came up and said you really hurt their feelings or did whatever. Were you trying to do that? No, man, we were just having a conversation. Oh my gosh, did I? I'm sorry. And then, what? Could you go apologize to him?
Right.
Then I come to you, Luke. Oh my gosh, dude, I'm so sorry. I thought we were busting balls. Man, forgive me. And that is how, somewhere along the way in the last 20 years, we've lost that.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Ever.
Stewards are that first line of defense. It's happened. I am very blessed at my center, the Hillsboro, Oregon Center. Shout out to Ron, and Dana, and Marty, and Bryce, and a couple of our rural area stewards, because they're out driving around the dusty hills of Columbia County. But those guys will pull people aside, and they will say, look, you did this. This is how it was perceived. We know you're they got that soft sell. They're like, we know you're a good person. Or they'll smack you down, too. They'll be like, hey, put the damn package in a locker. You're messing up this guy's route when he's on vacation. I've seen them say that to guys before. Like, hey, don't just throw it in the mailroom.
Right.
Go to people, and they will do that before you go to management and get all upset about it. Because right now, management's looking at 20,000 jobs that we've got to cut. And they're like, don't make it easy on them.
Right.
So go to your stewards when you see something. Don't pick up the phone and call the ethics line. Don't. I hate saying rat because that sounds. It's hard. Like, I don't. If someone does something serious, I'm not condoning that. I'm not. Right. If someone puts a woman in an inappropriate way or does something inappropriate, just go grab a steward and be like, I just saw this. What are we doing?
Right.
I can guarantee you at my Hillsboro Center, any of those stewards are going immediately and grabbing that dude and being like, you in here now. And, there's going to be some things that are said and whatever. I'm not saying look the other way. I'm not saying ignore stuff. I'm saying seek first to understand, then to be understood. Then go grab a steward and ask, how would you handle this? And you know what? They might say call the ethics line, but understand, you call the ethics line, that you are going to go way above center level, and you are probably, if there's any inkling of anything, you're going to put someone out on the street, and there's a 50-50 shot they might get fired, at least in the West. Yeah. So I'll end on that. Appreciate you guys having me.
Well, the end of that, well said, that last thing for sure. And dude, thanks again for coming on, man. I know this was fast, and we appreciate you for sure.
So,
absolutely. Brian, I'll be in contact with you, brother, through Reddit, and because this one will actually get released Monday. So, so I'll let you know. I'll send you over a link and whatnot for it, and we'll be in touch, man. Brian, thank you again for such short notice to come on here, man, and tell your story.
I'm happy to come on anytime. And wrap. All right, guys.
Brother.
Thanks, brother. Take care, Brian.
Hey, have a good evening, man.
You too.
Dude, That
I don't know.
is
Dude,
crazy.
insane. I
Like
dude,
you said,
I
mind
don't
blown.
know if we've.
Mind blown.
I couldn't quit. Like, dude, I don't know if there's ever been. And of course, this was all kind of done on the fly anyway. So we sort of,
for the listeners,
way
yes,
that
this
this
was
came
literally
together,
all done 10 minutes before we hopped on. Like he said, I'm ready to go right now.
Yeah,
Luke, I was literally here waiting for Luke to come on, and I was like, Luke, he's ready to come on right now, dude. Like, we're gonna do this. So this is just,
yeah.
Man.
We called it literally on. This is like in the pro wrestling terms, calling it in the ring, and yeah, I couldn't, dude. I don't even now. It's hard to try to comprehend that there would be somebody that, dude. That would be dude. There are so many. I like I told him, I applaud him for taking up for that guy, because dude, like, you know, and I know I said I was a lot, but I also come from I'm not, you know, I come from a place where, like, this, I mean, old heads, like he was saying, I would say, dude, in my dad's generation around here as a kid, if I would have heard something like that, like with adults, man, somebody costing a lot, like, dude, they probably would have went and tried to shoot his ass. I'm not fucking, like, that's fucking terrible. And I'm definitely not condoning. I'm just saying, it's like
he said,
dude,
the person should have went the other way with it. And like he said there at the end, like went to a union rep, was like, hey, listen, you know, I heard this, you know what? Like, there's so many other ways he could have went with it, dude. But just to go straight to the ethics, I don't know, man. It's just like you said, it's just not the way. It's not the way it used to be.
No,
and now, like,
man.
it makes me think about, like, conversations I've had with people. You know what I mean? And it's just like,
right?
Holy fuck, dude.
Trust me, the whole time I was just sitting there thinking, like, man, it can be that easy, because that was a clear-cut case of somebody not being guilty. You know what I mean, dude? That was clear-cut. All the evidence was shown right there.
Like,
literally,
I would make that kind of joke, too.
Receipt.
You know what I mean? Like, I would make that kind of joke, too.
Dude.
In a group chat with people, especially if we're having a rough day. Like, that's why I originally made the UPS's Coming to Town parody, is because that was a rough fucking peak season we had, and I wanted to make people laugh in that moment. Like, that's why I did it. Because it brought smiles and laughter to people. Like, people enjoyed it. People had something to look forward to and laugh about during that rough peak season we had. Like, it's the same concept for him. Him and his crew were having a rough Monday. And he was like, I'm going to send this, and we're all going to laugh about it.
Dude, yeah. And literally the fact, like, I can't even, because like he said, he sent the picture first, and everybody fucking knows that and like, dude, I didn't even think about South Carolina. Like, dude, South Carolina University, yeah, the Gamecocks, everything they have, they've got. When you watch a South Carolina home game, or rather it's football, or you're seeing the word Cox everywhere.
Go Cox.
He showed that one. It was a fucking baby onesie. It said, "I'm a huge Cock fan." Baby onesie. They're putting them.
The definition of
dude,
a
it's
cock
obviously not that. Is a fucking
first thing that comes up is
rooster.
a rooster, bro. Man,
dude, I don't even.
Ryan,
but he him telling that though.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say now, like, because of these job cuts and everything, that puts a whole new spin on it for me. That
easy it could be.
Yeah, dude. Like, now, like he was saying, the intermingling. We were gonna go. That was the thing. Like, now hearing his story, because with the job, like, now we know this as we record this episode. Literally, it was the day before when the articles kind of broke with all this stuff with the job cuts of 20,000 and the 73 buildings closing or that are owned or leased across the country. So now hearing that. Like, dude, that just opens up a whole new, like, dude, because it's like, are they going to is this going to end up turning into some type of, like, massive witch hunt across the country with stuff that
just
they
to
think
get rid of drivers?
With?
Any type of reason to get rid of drivers? It's so fucked up, though, because, like, you hear everything the man's saying there. Like, Brian is, like, he is someone you would love to have as a neighboring route. Like, he's the type of driver you would love to have as a neighboring route. Literally, he was like, "Oh, you got something going on tonight? I'll get your pickups tonight so that you can bounce early." Like, it's just stuff like that, dude. Like, man, I'm angry. I feel like I shouldn't be, but I am.
Dude, no, I am too, and that's what, like, even saying what I would have heard, like. I'm even sitting there thinking now, my God, is somebody going to listen to this and be, like, scared of that? Now my whole brain's, like, fried. But I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not trying to. That isn't nothing about me I'm not trying to offend anybody with that. I'm just saying, dude, in the era. I mean, it's funny. He said, Dave, you're too young to remember, and I would, because we're about 3 years apart.
I'm only 37, bro. Come on, Brian. I'm only 37.
But no, I was sitting there like, I mean, dude, but I'm just saying, to say it one last time.
Yes.
I just want to say one last time, though, because I don't, like, now, because my whole brain is spinning. But seriously, like, that in my era of my dad's era, dude, I'm telling you, growing up, there were people I do, like, if that would have cost them, or they cost their livelihood I'm telling you, dude, it would have been not good.
No.
And when I said shot his ass, I wasn't exaggerating, because that, man, it's a whole, and that's what I feel like people, well, like he said, don't, like, you got to think of, for stuff that really happens is one thing. But when it's like that, dude, now you're putting somebody out of work, and it's not fucking right.
Not right at all. Listen, let's
sorry, I just have to
it's all good.
That.
It's all good. But to cap this one off, again, want to thank Brian for coming on such short notice. The man just was like, "Let's go," and shout out to him for also telling his story too, the way he did.
For sure,
Brian, wish you all the best, buddy, with whatever you have going on, whatever holds, for your life in the future here. Wish you all the best, Brian. Thank you for coming on. So I think it's time to get into the question of the week. Shall we? Here we go. The question of the week this week was, if you could turn your daily commute into a video game, what features would it have? Thought we'd have a little fun with this one. Let's see what All In Nation had to say, shall we? This one here is from Pascal. Give me more cosplay. What up, more? More says, a power up to keep me awake. Very true.
Right.
Very, very true.
No. That's a good one. Starting out.
This one here is from that dude, Luke and me. Luke says, green and red turtle shells from Mario Kart would be awesome. Hell yes.
Hell yes. Them red ones, dude. Like heat-seeking missiles
they do
out
damage.
there. They did.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. This one here is from I Am Lars. What up, Lars? Lars says, teleport to work, of course. That's true, man. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Teleporting would be nice.
I love this next one. This one here is from Union Box Smashers. Says, achievements unlock. Didn't flip off a single driver today. Plus 100 patience XP. Held in road rage tears. And plus 200 mental fortitude. I like it.
Road rage tears. I love it.
Yep. Yep. This one here is from B-Rad Mo. What up, Brad? Brad says, pause.
Zach
Let's
Morris.
pause the game.
Zach Morris, Saved by the Bell, had that ability to freeze time. For all our listeners old enough to remember Saved by the Bell.
I forgot about that. He would do that.
Say timeout, and everything would freeze.
Yep. Well, what a good, like, I don't know. That's pretty smart to add something like that too. That kind of show.
I just want to go on record to not trail too bad. It's depressing that Zach Morris is in his 50s.
Man.
Just saying.
Yeah, but let's be honest here. Who did you have a crush on in that show?
Kelly.
Of course.
Yeah. Kelly Kapowski.
Kelly Kapowski, of course.
Yeah. I mean, they were all attractive. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But Kelly, yeah.
Kelly had that girl next door.
She did, man.
Fuck.
This next one is from our one and only DHL driver, Ricksta. Rick says, having to cross the U.S. border from Mexico daily and vice versa, the only feature I would need is a flying car.
Oh, there you go.
That would be good. This one here is from Jake Lee Bowden. Jake says, warp speed. Yeah, get there quick.
Yeah,
totally.
Love it.
This one here is from Old Ball Bearded Bastard. Says, everything you can do in Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Oh, fuck, this is going to be good. Drag people out of their cars and beat the shit out of them and take all their money. Pick up hookers, run over shit that's in your way, run from the cops all day.
That might be the best one, dude. That's incredible. Everything from Grand Theft Auto. It's fucking good. That's a good one, Dusty.
I just read Grand Theft Auto. I was like, this is going to be good. 100%.
That's so good.
100%, buddy. This one here is from Will Flow. What up, Will? Will says, cheat codes to make Orion perfect. No traffic and no signatures. I like that.
Hell yeah.
I like that.
Good
That's
cheat
good.
codes.
Cheat codes, yep. This one here is from Zach. Is that your boy?
Yeah,
Zach
is.
Pisk?
Yes, Zach Pisk is from my. I mean, I don't think he would care if I'd use
I know
his
the last
government
name is more than that, but yeah.
Yeah, he is from my building. What up,
What
brother?
up, Zach? Zach says, all features and vehicles from Twisted Metal, but make sure Respawn is on. Not trying to get taken out by that ice cream truck.
Dude, what the fuck was that ice cream truck's name? It was Sweet Tooth. It was Sweet Tooth. God,
yeah,
dude, I'll tell you what, Twisted Metal. That one, I saw that.
That's an OG game,
dude. That is, and Zach's a little bit younger than me. I mean, not much, but he's probably. I don't know how old Zach is. He's definitely got a few years till he's 40. I know that, but I was trying to think when that fucking came out. But yeah, Twisted Metal, dude. Twisted Metal's the
original
2s.
PlayStation, so 90
mid-90s then,
mid-90s, 95, 96, yeah, around there.
When the fuck, God.
So, have you thought about it? Have you thought what kind of features would you add to your daily commute?
I mean, really, it would probably, I don't know. I would like to, I've always, God, this is going to play so into road rage. And this isn't really a positive one, but I can say one thing that I've always fantasized about. That especially when I would fucking, and it's funny that old Zach commented on this because he used to run this route that I'm about to talk about. This was his bit route for a little while, and on this route, you are you're basically a cuck to the traffic. And when there's a 3,000, there's a 4,000, 3,000, 2,000, 1,000 block, and like certain times of the day when you can't fucking pull over and you're in 1,000, you obviously drive 1,000. You know how fucking big of a pain in the ass it is to try to put that thing in somewhere where you got to parallel park or try to fucking whip it in. And yeah, dude, so I would sit there and I think this was even before UPS, but I would always fantasize that I had the power of Magneto, that I could just, the cars in front of me, I could just put my hand out and just swipe them out of the way and fucking send them flying. No regard for the people inside of them. I never even thought about it like that. That's fucked up. I just wish I could pick them up and toss
Forget
them.
the people inside.
Yeah, dude.
It's a video game.
Yeah, that would be my thing, Magneto, be able to flip cars out of the way. I always I'm sticking with that one.
I mean, as a fan, me being a fan of Mario Kart, I would have to agree with that dude Luke, and definitely some turtle shells, some turtle shells, maybe some mushrooms, not those kind of mushrooms, guys. Come on, no, maybe some.
That'd make driving day fun.
Driving with people.
He might be in a video game.
Like maybe some banana peels for people that are like tailgating you. You know what I mean? Just toss a banana peel and just fucking wipe them out and shit.
God, what a great game.
Classic. Maybe I even have the Rainbow Road to take for my commute,
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you. Cool. Thank you to everybody that commented on that. Definitely. Thank you to everybody who comments. Thank you to everybody who listens. We appreciate it.
We thank you all very much.
Next week, we will not have a question of the week, by the way, just a heads up. There will be no question of the week for episode 150.
Yeah, so, it is a little. I'm on vacation, and and it's weird. I don't even like. As we plug this in at a day, like not the day of you're hearing this recording, because I feel like it was still just to end this too, man. I hope everything works out for the best for Brian, because he seems like a really good dude. And
absolutely.
I hate that he had to go through that and what happened to him, but it was a episode of awareness and what just got to watch yourselves out there, because there's some crazy. I mean, I've heard of witch hunts, and there's witch hunts and there's fucking witch hunts, like, and that is, dude. That was fucking, and it seems like he was a good driver and everybody liked him, and it's like it's crazy that it just it's like they get targeted.
And then I also hear too, like, the company is always looking to get rid of people in January. Wow. I heard this is a thing.
That wouldn't fucking surprise me, but
no,
I've never heard that, but
nothing surprises me now. Like, this is it.
I know.
So awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you again to Brian for joining us on this episode as well. Last minute there. So guys, be good. Patreon, Discord, all those links are in the episode description. Come hang out, come support the show, be a part of the Patreon family. Thank you guys so much. I'm Dave, my co-host Luke. We will see you all next week.
Later, everybody.